afternoon. I just want to start that if I knew that I'll ever be presented by Jaime Paris, I would have signed up for this job much earlier. So Shiora called me and she told me about the conference today, and it's all about innovation. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Taboola, but I'm really going to talk about where things are going. And I thought about what can I talk about that's going to help us potentially during this session today think about the future winners of media companies that we know today. Those are probably companies that can do awesome content, but then go even further to attach a business model to it and make it work. I called it the next generation of prime time. So by way of agenda, I thought we'll start with just in general how fast things are changing, not only in TV, but then we'll talk a little bit about TV. We'll continue with how people ever get to consume content today and who gets to win. So just a few stats about how fast things are moving. We went from in the 80s from 100 million devices to over 10 billion units today between desktops and mobile phones and iPads and connected TVs and so forth. And innovation, and I think when we're thinking about innovation, we're thinking about how the market is changing, and then new products that are being brought to market are able to address it. You're either adopting to those needs as a company, or you're no longer there. And we've seen it again and again and again, right? So newspaper became local publishers, and from papers to online publishers such as the Huffington Post. We've met Roy today earlier, which was amazing, 250 million comments. We've seen it with classified, moving to Craigslist, phones to Skype and others. And just by way of how crazy stuff becomes, this is a picture of someone in a station in Korea taking a picture so that when they get home, that drink is going to wait for them at their building. So things are changing really fast and technologies are being absorbed. And we just, again, some stats. We have 1.9 billion people are using the web, 5 billion mobile devices. I wasn't sure what's an exabyte before this presentation, but it's 1 billion gigabytes. And that's the amount that we had in 2010 between videos, pictures, and text. And the General Electric executive says that we'll have 50 billion connected devices in 2020. This is from 100 million in 1980. So things are moving fast, and we have to adopt them. And then when we look at a TV conference and a TV topic that we're talking about today, we're thinking, where did we come from? We came from one TV, family, 7 p.m. at night after work, watching one channel, and whatever's coming up, coming up. And today, we have more than one TV. We each watch a different one, different content, whenever you want it, wherever you want to watch it. So I don't think we actually need to call it TV anymore, because it's not the same product, right? Where our TV gives us apps, connects us to the internet. It's not the same people. We're watching different TVs, all of us. It's not the same business models, and hopefully it's even personal. So it's not even the same TV that we grew to know that we have today. Someone earlier today said something that I've been hearing for a long time, and I used to actually believe that too. So there's a saying that content is king. And we all know what that means. It means that if you create the best piece of content, they will come. But I changed my mind. I don't think content is king anymore, because I don't think content is king without a proper kingdom, an audience. And would we ever know who that person is had Mad Men didn't become one of the most successful shows? And would I not want to be this person today, even because it's such a famous show? And would we know about Sharknado, which is a movie about sharks flying up in the air with some actors from 1990 from Beverly Hills? But it got so much attention, and actually I went to see the movie, which was horrible. But it got my attention, and I got to watch it. And I told my dad that if he comes to see this presentation, there's going to be a slide about him. So my dad started playing in weddings, and it took him 30 years to become the man that he is today. So he's done a bunch of different things to get the attention that he organically needed to get to be the renowned global guitar player that he is today. and he's done Soprano and Sex and the City, and I've seen my dad with Sir George Martin from the Beatles, and I shook his hands. But that was 30 years old, journey. And Justin Bieber uploaded a video to YouTube, got 1 million views, got picked up by Usher, and if you want Justin Bieber to tweet anything about you, that's cost $500,000 today, because he uploaded a video to YouTube and got discovered. So how do we even get, as content creators, how do we find those people that cater to the content we create? As media companies that create amazing content, that we have people like that today in our audience, how do we think about who should we be next year or in the following years to come? And we have to find the next generation of audience that's going to like what we create. Isn't that odd to you that when you come back home after work and you open the TV, the first thing that comes up is the last thing you watched yesterday when you fell asleep on the sofa? That still happens all today. The TV is really just showing me the last thing I saw when I watched it. But I wonder who's going to control and decide who's going to watch TV in the future. And I don't think it's going to be the remote control anymore. I think it's going to be a bunch of very different things. And again, companies that will adopt those tools and methods in a good way to try to absorb them so that they may happen will be there in the future. And those that will resist them may be challenged. And I'll show some examples, but we have the remote control today, which is the main discovery vehicle, even today. But then we see stuff like second screen, personalization, subscription model, Twitter and Facebook, original content, big data, and even apps that I can create as a content creator. So it's way more than the remote control we grew to love. Again, just some stats to show how discovery is changing, and as media companies, we have to think about where's our audience out there and how we can get them if we want to be here in the future. So for instance, people that were born the Generation Y post-1980, 1 of 3 is no longer watching TV. Or they do, but not the TV that we know today. And 46% of the people that have a smartphone use it as a second screen when they watch a TV. That means that if I'm watching a show and I see what people are tweeting on, I actually may go and discover something else. Hey, super cool stuff on Channel 3, go and check it out. Because I have something in front of me when I'm watching TV. Some sort of growth, but 303% more people are talking about TV on Twitter, which then generates views online. And of course, thanks to Miley Cyrus, she says that when she was on TV, almost 30 billion and a little more tweets per second generated tremendous TV rating for her. So almost 30 billion tweets per second. We're able to generate amazing per minute. We're able to generate amazing viewership. And that's not something that we had 10 years ago. You couldn't count on someone tweeting on you on Twitter and get traffic from that. And one last thing, even though it's funny, so people think about distribution and content, but actually even business models can change your business. So Netflix said, we're going to get a lot of people to come to Netflix by charging them money to sign up to us directly. So as an example, in the past, it used to be create the content, get audience, try to sell it, make money. Netflix is doing, will create or aggregate content, and if we get people, that's enough. They'll pass directly and we'll monetize that business. And again, just more stats, and I think all of us know it already, but TVs, I don't have a cable in my house. I pay for the internet, I have an Apple TV, Xbox, and I have all the content that I ever need, and I'm so happy to pay for it. Directly and as much as they want. I get it when I want it, it's working, it's HD, it's fun, so I can play games, I can use apps, I can listen to music, all from my TV screen, none of which includes a remote control. So in terms of where is this going and who are the winners, I put a sort of a table of then and now, and not to be depressing, but Blockbuster, what happened to Blockbuster? I mean, they had 60,000 employees and 9,000 stores. And in 2010, they went out of business. 60,000 employees and 9,000 stores. And this is in a world where companies like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, and YouTube, each one of them has direct program to offer you content on demand that you can pay for it. The next generation of TV, really. So what does it mean about where you want to be in the future? You either accept these guys and potentially become one, or you may end up being on the left column and left to tell the story. And in my opinion, the winners are companies that understand three things. One of them is content. So, as an example, in this example, Netflix created Orange is the New Black and House of Cards and other shows. So I think, again, content is king in the concept that in the end, someone needs to like the content you create. So I mean, I like Jersey Shore and some bad stuff, but it's my opinion, and it became popular and very common. But I think, that's very subjective. In the end, content needs to be interesting enough for people to watch it, even if you have the entire universe. So that's still number one. I don't think that's changing. But these two are new, and many new media companies don't have number 2 and 3. So number 2 is understand that your audience, and just by way of example, Taboola now recommends to 100 million people every day, suggesting them content from around the web they may like. We have clients such as DJs from Brooklyn that come to us and say, hey, we have a video, and we really want to become Justin Bieber. And we say, do it. And we can put them on The Hollywood Reporter, Billboard.com, Bloomberg, USA Today within a minute. If you're a DJ from Brooklyn, USA Today will not pick up the phone and answer your call. But that can be done today. So what took my dad 30 years could be so much different if you have the ability to get distribution, which means you have to understand social, you have to understand recommendation, personalization, and you have to understand second screen and how people discover content when they look at the TV screen. And lastly, what I think is also not less important, is technology and big data. Companies like Facebook paid $1 million for someone that they improve the click-through rates on the recommendation system by 10%. Of course, one Israeli was one of the victories. But they paid $1 million for someone that can improve 10% the click-through rates. They've launched a business model that is pretty amazing that allows people to pay them directly. And in general, I'm pretty sure Netflix is a technology company more than anything. And not working. So I wrote companies that I think are part of the future that have, that's worth looking at closely as they make decisions and really disrupt the TV industry and where it's going. So interestingly enough, Netflix paid $100 million to produce House of Cards, which is by any means real money. $100 million to produce this amazing show. I'm not sure if you had a chance to see it, but in exchange, what they're getting is 2 million people that sign up to Netflix. Again, think about the business model and where TV is going. 2 million people worth to Netflix probably hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. Directly, no middleman, people that come just to get good content and can pay for it. So how can you use original content with an amazing business model to actually get audience? Which is, I think, again, part of the future. You're fixing it. No, doesn't matter. So in peak times, Netflix are currently 32% of the web's traffic of North America, which is, again, crazy if you think about the amount of bandwidth that means. Netflix now worth $18.6 billion. They've won 14 Emmy nominations, which means they're in the game. And it's just just a matter of time until Netflix will compete with any other HBO type of company, if they don't really do that today. And I think, in the end, for me, the main message I'm taking as a company that's also growing and constantly thinking about product innovation is that if you don't accept that things are changing very, very fast, especially in the media and technology space, then you may not like being irrelevant at the end even further. So towards the end, just a little bit about us, and Femi, you were very and too kind to describe what we do. So I started the company 6 years ago with a vision to build a search engine, but in reverse. Instead of people typing information of what they'd like to read or watch next, have information look for you without you ever knowing it existed. We have clients such as Vans, shoe company, that called us one day and said, we've built this amazing YouTube channel about shoes and testimonials, and it's such a cool shoe, and no one is searching on YouTube and Google for cool shoes. So they came to us and they asked us, how can we get people to come and consume our content? And we said, we can do it. They gave us their feed of YouTube channels and it became a hit. It's a channel about shoes. But there's some people that really like that. So for us, it was all about connecting people with content they like and never knew existed as they browse the web and try to build a new category at the top level if you look at the industry. Search, Google, social, Facebook, and discovery, Chemi and us. And that's us. And just how that looks like on the web if you haven't had a chance to check it out. So at the bottom, for instance, of the Huffington Post article page or on time.com article page, you'll see a very slick product that suggests other content you may like from around the web or from the site you're currently on. Those 4 thumbnails could be anyone. DJ from Brooklyn, Bank of America, the New York Times. So anyone stands a chance to be surfaced in front of you if you may like their content. If you click on that, we get paid, and we share that with time.com to help them monetize their site. A little bit of stats about us. So that unit is actually from the Huffington Post. We're serving 3 billion of these every day to 300 million people a month. We cover the majority of the United States traffic and unique users, which means that most Americans see Taboola at least once a month, which gives us a great opportunity to help our clients, which are content creators, to get the scale and audience that they need. Think about yourself if you ever created any show or any piece of content, and I told you you could be in front of 300 million people. What would that mean to you? And the bottom row is what we talked about, which gives content creators an opportunity to be surfaced, in this example, on the Huffington Post. So we see companies like, this is a company that produced hair product in Los Angeles. This is The Atlantic. I'm not sure who Lonnie is, and that's Forbes. So I'm pretty much done. Thank you for your time. Am I doing questions? Anyone has any questions? So, fair enough, my dad is much better than Justin Bieber. I'm not going to argue about that. But I think it's not the point, in my opinion, because my dad was always great. It just took him 30 years to be in front of enough people. And I think that sucks. It sucks to create something that you think is amazing. If you ever wrote a blog post or shot anything on your iPhone, you know, I take pictures on my Instagram to have people see it before I even want it for myself. So I think it's all about the audience and who gets to see it and who, you know, the interesting people that get to see it. So I think if my dad had a Taboola 30 years ago, things could look different because he could be on Billboard homepage and the Hollywood Reporter and any other relevant publisher that could connect my dad's content with their audience. But that didn't exist at the time. So I think there are probably enough people that like Justin Bieber, and that's fine. And he was able to get to those audiences, so he's done actually the right thing. He was able to be in front of enough people to become who he is. So that's my humble opinion.
Does Taboola have plans to expand to video services like Netflix, Hulu?
Yeah, so the question was if Taboola has any plan to go into long form. Yeah, so we've launched APIs to help our publisher, such as Warner Brothers and others, to use Taboola wherever you go. So we have clients using us in their iPhone app, connected TVs, desktop, mobile, and the concept to create for all of us consistent discovery experience. When you go home, it's pretty much as awesome as it is when you go on your computer, from your phone, or your iPad. So we have APIs for long form as well. And we also have homepage products so that remote control example I gave before will never happen. So when you open your TV or whoever, you know, whatever you want, if Taboola is there, then we'll try to predict what you like. And we're able to predict 4, 6, 8 pieces of content looking at more than 1 million in real time. So we know our main focus is to continuously develop our technology to do a better job at predicting. And if you believe in in a content-driven world, then I think a lot of it is going to be about discovery. Who to date, what to eat, what to watch. Okay.
How many your 100 million consumers know that tabbouleh is really a salad of where you come from? Of course, it's a metaphor for my asking how much filtration and localization to different areas is really being performed. As we say, you think local, but you act global. So is there any filter to turn the content to global? Not everybody knows that Justin Bieber is Canadian. Those in China want to know Justin Bieber, but it's like a different orientation.
So for instance, right now, just to give an example, if someone from San Francisco would go to a website, if someone from Israel would go to a website and that had just a generic website, Taboola would look at Twitter, they would see that Shira and myself have tweeted a bunch of times with INTV hashtag, but just where we're currently at in Jerusalem. And we'll try to see if the website has content about INTV or anything of that nature. So we're taking local, we have clients such as Patch, which is AOL's version of local, all of Fox, Hearst. So we work a lot with local, even hyper-local, the neighborhood. And we're trying to pick up from Twitter and Facebook what's going on in that place so that when you go to that website, it feels to you like we actually know where you're coming from without you ever telling us who you are. So yes. That's it. Thanks so much.